All right, I'm coming up here to do the second post. Went up easier than the first, of course. Figured out a couple tricks too to get it leveler, if that's a word. But here it is. I just have it tacked in right now. I got to start my welds, but just wanted to show the idea. So I do the two ends first, and that way I can run a string from there to there and just line them up that way, because I have them marked on the plates with marker, and I did a pretty tedious job of that. But you know what I've learned is that no matter how accurate you are, you're still off, and it just, I don't know, it just always works out that way. So at least for me it does. So I cranked this up completely by myself, and so that was the goal, and it works. And I'll be able to use this thing for a lot of other things out here. I have a couple other ideas in mind, but the main thing with raising these posts up were these rails. That was the only thing that was stopping this from working, with those two rails there. Everything else is extra. What these do is these hold the post into place here, so I can weld everything down. That way if the wind catches it or something, and it's bolted to my truck right there. This bottom part here is also key. There's a plate that goes down here, and it acts as kind of the fulcrum or pivot point for this. So between having that and this, now you could easily lift a 20-foot post. You know, big one if you had to. Round one, I would be a little more careful. But if you're going in the ground, you would have your pivot point there. You wouldn't need this. But since I'm putting it on top of plates, I need a pivot there for that. But if you were doing a round one, the only thing I would do is I would add a couple more support bars down here as well. And then I would have two sets. But other than that, you know, the only thing I would change on this, there's a few things I'd change actually. Well, one of the things I would change is I'm going to go with an electric winch for sure, because this thing gets old cranking this thing. It's like riding an old rickety roller coaster, you know. And I want to get it done quicker, so I want to get this post into place. So, but anyways, it's working pretty good. You can see right here, I got my level down here, and my post is pretty damn on, and I got it tacked on one side and a couple shims here. But what I do is I go around and I weld staggers all the way around it, and I have my setting on my welder to 200 amp at, I believe, 21 volt, somewhere around there, 20 21 volt. But got this machine pretty maxed out for these are 1/4-inch plate. So yeah, I just go around and I stagger and kind of just try to control the heat. That's the main thing, because if you weld all on one side at once, what's going to end up happening is, as this cools, it's going to pull it, and your angle is going to go like this. But sometimes you can use that to your advantage. Like in this case, I actually put a little tack right here because the post was off a little bit this way. And then by putting that tack there, I was able to get that shim underneath there and then bring it back to almost perfect. So, you see right there. So, anyways, I'm going to get back to welding, and just wanted to follow up. I'm going to make this video into a kind of a longer one, but just to show. And that post is up right over there, and you can see I got all these posts to go. The 10-foot posts are going to be easy. I actually don't need the crane for that. My son's out here right now, so he's just going to help me lift these up. We've already lifted these into place before to test everything, but we'll lift these 10-footers, and then I'll just use the support bars on the side of my truck to hold it in place while I weld it. Because the problem about holding it is if you got somebody over here trying to hold this, and you're welding and kicking out all these, you know, sparks and all this shit, it really, it's not fun for the person holding it, plus all the fumes going up and everything else. So it's a lot easier to do it this way. And with this type of thing, I can really nail this in and get it almost exact, you know, or close to it. And that's what you want with this, because as I go further, welding trusses and doing all that stuff, the closer things are, the better. I mean, you don't want to, because it just compounds things later. So, you know, you're never going to be perfect, but the closer you can get to perfect, you know, the better. But you don't want, you know, like the saying goes, perfect is the enemy of good. So you don't want to get too wrapped up in it, you know, and just understand that you're going to be off a little. Even any builder, I'm sure, would tell you that. But, you know, you just want to get as close as you can, you know, within a 0.10 or 0.05 on the angle. I think you're good to go there. So anyways, I'm a little out of breath. It's hot out. So I'm gonna get back to welding. See here, hopefully this works. Ready? Go. And see here, hopefully this works. Ready? So try to get it down as soon as possible. No. So far so good. So I'm good though. So what is that's just what I need. So hopefully. Looking at my line here, make sure it's not rubbing. I don't know what that was. So close. That's it, right? Why do that? I gotta be careful because the holding holds both places. These cities. All right, you can turn it off now.